Kia ora, Matapelo here, giving you the latest weather information. Well, looking at what we've had today, it has been quite a wet day out in the North Island. It's been a wet weekend, actually, and we've seen rainfall figures out in the Rokumara Ranges, as well as other parts of Tairafiti Gisborne in the region of about 200 to above 300 millimeters since Saturday. That wet weather does continue for the rest of today for the North Island, but down here in the south, it is a much clearer, much brighter affair. So looking at what is bringing all of this rain, we see this large rain band bringing in moisture from the northern parts, which is spreading over here, that northeastern part of the North Island. That continues for the rest of today, bringing in very wet weather out that side. Elsewhere, we do start to see some of that rain starting to spread southwards, but the South Island is mostly spared from that rainfall. So with that weather system, we've got some watches and warnings in effect. The Coromandel Peninsula in with a heavy rain watch until 3 p.m. today. And then down here in the Bay of Plenty, including Rotorua, as well as Gisborne, those rain warnings going until 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. for the Gisborne region. Down here in the Hawke's Bay, we've got a heavy rain watch until 11 p.m. where some of those rainfall amounts could reach warning criteria. Then in the central part of Aotearoa, New Zealand, starting from later on tonight and into the whole of tomorrow, we could see quite strong winds, those winds picking up, and some places, especially more exposed places, could see those speeds reaching severe gale amounts. So looking ahead to the overnight period, that low pressure system continues to sink southwards, spreading a lot of rain, a lot of moisture over much of the North Island. That rain and moisture wrapping around that low pressure system, bringing quite a wet night ahead for many places. Down here in the South Island, however, much clearer, only a little bit of cloud and rain up here in the northern parts of the South Island. So looking at the temperatures overnight, we see that translates into those temperatures, warmer temperatures overnight expected for the North Island under that blanket of cloud and moisture. But for the South Island, much cooler temperatures. We even see Timaru there at -1 degrees. That means that for the South Island, there could be places that see a bit of a frosty start to the day, even some foggy patches for those inland areas. So looking ahead for the rest of tomorrow, this low pressure continues to sink southwards. It is fairly slow moving, meaning that we are going to see still another day of that rainy, quite showery conditions for the North Island. But then down here, as the day goes on, we see some of that rain starting to sink southwards to that North Canterbury and Marlborough region in the South Island. The other thing to keep in mind for tomorrow is the winds. We see up here those strong southwesterly winds starting to rear their heads, as well as down here in the lower North Island, as we spoke about with that strong wind watch. So taking a closer look at the North Island, as we said, very cloudy conditions expected for tomorrow, and a lot of moisture and rain and a lot of showers wrapping around that low pressure system, as well as windy conditions up there in the north and down here in the south. As the day goes on, we do start to see a clearance out here in the eastern parts, but it doesn't last for too long, because in the afternoon and evening, we are expecting a resurgence of those showers and even possibly some thunderstorm activity for the Hawke's Bay region. So looking at those temperatures, then we see a bit of a difference from north to south. Up here in the Northland, lovely at 17 degrees. Might not feel very warm due to those strong southwesterly winds, but certainly warmer than what down here in the lower North Island. It'll feel like quite a wintry day, strong winds, the maximum temperature in Wellington only reaching about 10 degrees. Then looking over at the South Island, a much clearer, brighter day in store, especially these western and central parts. And even down here, once that early morning fog clears for those inland places. As the day goes on, however, we do start to see this cloudy condition starting to drift ever southwards. Christchurch starting off nice and clear, but by the end of the day, we are expecting a little bit of a rainy situation down there. So we see that in the temperatures as well. Temperatures still a little bit on the chilly side, much cooler than what we saw this time last week. Only these mid to low double-digit temperatures. Christchurch at a maximum of 10 degrees. But it's a bit of a different story out here in the west, where it will be brighter, more sunny, and a maximum of 16 down that west coast. So jumping ahead to Wednesday, we still see that pesky low pressure system sitting there, but it is starting to drift slowly away from the country, taking that band of strong winds away with it. The rain does take a little bit longer to clear, so by Wednesday we still see a little bit of wet conditions down the eastern part of the country. But that's all I have for you for now. See you next time.